There you go.
Well,
Oh, come on. The noises that you are hearing are rain and traffic. Okay? Both not very good friends of me with my my lab the way where it's at. So don't worry too much over it. If you can't hear it, please just let me know, and I'll figure it out on this end, or we can just wait for the weather. All right, got some coffee going on, and all right, what we're doing here is that now that we're recording, okay, took a female end and separated it from the male end of this extension cord. All right, little $3 extension cord from Walmart that I got. You can use old ones if you want, doesn't matter. Okay, keep this side, don't lose it. Okay, splice this end, or peel and expose the copper wire on that end of the female side of the plug. Okay, from here I just take my knife, okay, and I run a little circle around it. We're just going to splice this thing. When you open up this thing, you got to be careful that you don't tap into, you know, or just barely slice into the wires, because as you can see, it's not very thick, okay, and you can see the color that's portrayed, you know, or pushing through here. So keep that in mind. You don't want to slice into the insulation of the other wires, okay. Now I do the same thing about 3 or 4 inches away from it. Okay, the first cut's here. I'm just cutting this off this side. All right. Here, I just remove the insulation. Okay. Be very careful when you're doing this, because this is the part that most people get stabbed, or, you know, whatever, because of their tools. I'm guilty of this. I'm sure that was loud as could be. Good morning, Dora.
Good morning.
How was your weekend?
Busy. Built up the fence.
I can imagine. All right. We are trying to build one of these little plugs. It's going to be a little pretty easy, I believe. Now, in America, you get these standard plugs here. You get 3 wires, okay? You have your hot wire, you have your neutral wire, which is the white one, and then you have your ground, which is the green, okay? If you're looking at the end of your plug, and you'll hear me reference this, okay? The right side of your plug is the hot wire, okay? Not the left, the right. The whole right side of this plug here goes all the way up, follows this, all the way up into here until it gets to the end, all right? Where it stays all along the right side here, okay? So when you're looking at a plug, okay, where you're plugging it into the wall, okay, it's the smaller slot on your plug, okay? This is your hot wire if you're trying to tap into it, okay? The smaller ones are your hot wires. The big one is your ground wire, okay, or your neutral wire, okay? So this is the wire that you're trying to tap into and identify, okay? So that's what we're looking for here, is that hot wire. So what we're doing here is we're going to cut this wire in half, okay, and expose it as well. Okay. I'm sorry that thing is so loud. I'm sure it's right there next to the microphone and banging all over the place. Alright, we're doing the same exact thing here. Okay, we're just going to clean off the end of this wire. Remember, you don't have to push very hard. Again, just exposing the wire. I twist them, keep them from going everywhere. All right, Dora, I have given you permission to record. I think you're looking for that. I'm not sure. All right. So, when you're making these things, okay, what we're trying to do is we're trying to continue the flow from this point over here, okay, from the wall plug, through your device and back into here, so that you have the same and correct flow of energy, okay? With these extension cords, because the wires are not individually marked, they're just molded in place with this insulation, it seems, okay? Easiest way is to mark the end of your extension cord, okay? In this case, it's on the right hand side, okay? So I need the wire that's on the right hand side here, all the way down, okay? So you'll just see me follow this. Make sure it stays flat, all right, so that the right side always is the right side. Follow it all the way down. Okay, that means the right side is here. Okay, so for identification purposes, I will take, and then the other side, I'll tie a knot. Okay, doesn't have to be real big or anything like that, but it identifies the negative side of this. Okay, which means that if this is the source side, that means that the end of this plug is the source, so it would connect to this end closest here, okay, to this wire. The negative side would be on the other side here, so you've just identified which end you're going to attach, okay? And so we're just completing the circuit, okay? Just put that end over the top. We're going to complete this end of the circuit here. Okay, we're going to turn this whole extension cord into a positive hot wire extension. Okay. Doesn't matter which way you twist it, just as long as you twist it. Okay. For me, this is what I enjoy doing. Okay. This is my charcoal and water mixture. Okay. It's got some GANs, diatomaceous earth in it, some copper oxide GANs, and various ashes. Okay. But I like to, before I tape any of this up, I will dip the ends of this in that water, okay, to make sure that they're coated. Okay. If you do this, you're just ensuring your safety, okay, the possibility of accidentally not nano coating something correctly or whatever. Okay. So if you dip them before you tape them, then you already know everything is covered and you've got nothing to worry about. Okay. I learned this from my own experience. I absolutely hate electricity. The way that it's all set up, I've never enjoyed it. I've been zapped too many times. I watched my own father get thrown up against the wall a few times. Yeah, I didn't learn. You know, but I did learn, and I learned that if you're going to mess with electricity, then it's best if you did it all by yourself, from start to finish. Feeling a little claustrophobic today. So things seem to be encroaching on me that I don't necessarily like. So time to clean up, time to organize. That's the answer. Now, all I'm doing here is covering up the ends of these wires with tape. Okay. We'll make it all look pretty and, you know, whatever else. I like to keep the extension going, okay, so that they overlap here. Gives it a little bit extra strength. You saw the way I twisted it and I squished it over. It keeps stabbing me in the end of my finger. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be adding some blood to this here soon. Sacrificing. Okay. Now, what we're doing here is just covering it up. All right, this is more for the peace of mind of the people around you, okay, and yourself, to know that you can relax around this device. Okay, you don't have anything to worry about. All right, people kind of get nervous when they see, you know, bare copper wires that are plugged into the wall, and you know, me too, guys. I get real nervous about that. So this is more for my own peace of mind than maybe your guys's, but I like to give you the reasoning, okay, behind the method to my madness, as I call it. And once this is done, this is the technical part, as I call it. Okay. I'm sure there's an easier way to handle all of this, or maybe even a different way of doing this, but this is the way I do it. And, you know, feel free to modify it, change it, update it, make it better. and share it with the world, because that's what we're doing here. Okay? We're trying to break down those language barriers. We're trying to stop the division on our planet among the people, among the plants, among the animals, just among life. And when you have division, nobody wins. Because then there's always two different kinds of people or different groups, or, you know, we're all the same. This is life. I'm a cowboy from Texas. I don't have any special training. My profile says that I attended ITT Tech. You know, that was back, 20 years ago. And I only completed the first semester of it, which happened to be electronics, or electricity, basic electricity. And I had just received my first really high-powered computer because I was still stuck on the whole technological thing. And if any of you guys know anything about computers, it was an IBM Aptiva with 144 megahertz. That was my first real powerful computer. And, I thought I was hot stuff going in there. And I remember one of these students next to me who I was going to college with and trying to be friends with and all that kind of stuff, who looked at me. I was bragging about my computer and, my whole whopping 144 megahertz processor. And the guy turned and looked at me and says, "Why would you need that amount of computing power?" And from then on, I decided that this group was not for me, because I was constantly going to be in school all the time, training for something new and updated that needed to be fixed or understood or whatever. And I didn't want to spend the rest of my life in school trying to learn this technology. So I finished the first course of basic electricity and first 9 weeks of school, and from there it's only the first 9 weeks, but when I left I had a 4.4 I think GPA for it. So, but I still ended up having to pay all that money back to go to school for 9 weeks. So yeah, I went to ITT Tech. Just a normal guy is basically what I'm saying here. I don't have any special training except for the training of my mind and changing my perception of how problems can be solved. Okay? And it's just that small perception that we've got that keeps us alive. That's our instincts. And when we can do all that and we can take care of it ourselves, we don't need anybody else, like these government agencies or, these big businesses that just have money in mind. Okay? Well, let them have their business, because there's still going to be people out there that need their services. Okay? We're just going to be the kind of people that don't need their services. And if we teach people how to do all of this stuff, kind of like what I'm doing here, then we don't have anything to be ashamed of. We're self-sustaining ourselves. We're learning. I'm teaching you how to fish versus giving you a fish. Okay? And when you're able to go fishing for yourself and understand the very basic concepts, then you could do this all by yourself, and you guys can create all sorts of wonderful little things. Okay? Sure, it's going to take some time, especially like when it comes to like the water reactor where we built, you know, individual water molecules. You know, this is some pretty deep stuff. Okay? Once you understand how each one of the elements is made, okay, then you can recreate your own elements. I need your guys' help to help me experiment with these things because I know these work. I just don't know how they work yet. You know, my discovery and experience for myself comes from the self-realization, you know, as above, so below. Okay, and if I can make a water molecule, you know, 8 inches tall, then guess what? I've made a water molecule that's 8 inches tall. Does that mean it produces a, you know, an 8-inch tall water molecule as an energy field or what? You know, it's that kind of stuff. So when we work together and we focus on it, then we're all going to be taken care of. Okay. Now, what you've seen here is I've taken the black wire from the inside of here, which is our hot wire here in America. Okay. I've connected the right side of my plug, okay, to the wire that is closest to your adapter here. All right, that's all I've done. Okay. So, and then I identified the other side with a knot, and I put it over there on this end of the wire. Okay. That's not true. It goes the other way around. Okay. The knot side is the negative side, as we would call it. Okay. That's connected to the closest on this side, the source wire, which is the non-nut side. Okay. This ball wire here, that's the source. That's the one that connects to this end. Okay. Remember, your source side or the hot wire is the right side of your plug. Okay. In my screen, it's showing as backwards. All right. But it's on the right hand side. If you were to look at it like you're plugging into the wall, okay, right here, you're plugging it into the wall like this. The right side is your hot wire. Okay. Or the small wire. Hold on just a second.
He does.
Can you everybody say hi to my dog, dude? Say hi, dude. Come here. Oh, this is dude. Oh yes, you're so wet outside. I love you too. All right.
It's still raining.
It's raining.
Come on, dude.
Now wait. Now say hi.
Okay. Come on, dude. Get out of here. Come on. Let's go. Let's go.
He doesn't want to go in the rain again.
When will you be done?
He's all wet. It smells like wet dog.
When will you be done?
When I'm done, I'm not sure yet. I just started the
Make it
recording.
stop raining.
We got in trouble for controlling the weather, remember?
Well, we don't need any more rain. You should see this place.
Yeah, I know. It's flooded.
Run through it.
Will you go outside there, Jingle Jangle?
Come on, dude.
All right. So I'm going to, where's my wire at? I'm just going to make a little wire tie, as I call it. Okay, like a bread tie for this extension cord, so it doesn't get in the way all over the place. It gives you the option. Okay. You're going to realize that you're going to want to put your reactor someplace. Okay. When you decide this, you're going to want to put your reactor someplace that is unaffected by the way you're moving it. Okay, the way you're moving your power cords, things like that. So the concept or the idea that I came up with here was to just give it a little extra wire, guys. Okay, that's what we've got here. We're going to be able to plug at least 3, okay, of these kind of units, okay, into this one power strip and this one plug. So you can get your 3 units all into one. You know, that's the idea here. Before, on some of mine, okay. These are some of the ones that are in the test phase. Okay, this one's plugged in currently. Just has a lamp in it. It's using 13.43 watts. Okay, but it's only got one plug on it. All right, and I wanted more than one plug so that I didn't have to plug all my units into this right here. I wanted it all to be firing at the same time. Okay. Like I said, this one's testing. I put hot glue on the end of this as a test, and yeah, we're going balls to the walls here. Okay. So you got to remember that this plug will not work unless you have something else plugged into this. Okay. This is just an extension of your hot wire, and when you're pulling this stuff out, where you're putting your units in line, okay, like this, what we're doing here is taking all of this wire, okay, that's in this section that we've created, okay, and adding it to this group of wire, okay, and continuing to the wall. So you're just basically adding, 100, 200 feet of extra copper wire to the positive side of your plugs. Okay, when this happens, even though it's not nano-coated yet, you're creating an induction field because the source has more distance to travel, okay, through all of this extra wire. Okay, remember, each twist, each turn, each individual wire here has its own path that it has to follow inside of this. Okay, so it's literally like taking a hose, okay, in one side here, blowing all the air that you can into that end of the hose, and it's got to come out the other side. There's only one direction that this is all traveling, okay? You're not going to go in here and bypass everything and short circuit, all right? When it's nano-coated, it's insulated, okay? That means that it has to follow that one path, and that's what we're harnessing here is that one single path of energy inside of this container, all right? Inside of your mag-grab units, inside of anything, okay, that you're making these reactors for, okay? And what we're doing is we're just creating an induction field. But because it's nano-coated, all right, with the charcoal and water and, or maybe you use cold caustic or, whatever your methods are, okay, you're insulating these wires individually, okay? And so all we're really doing, okay, is taking a bunch of this wire that's not, you know, got plastic insulation on it, and we're adding it to the positive hot wire. All right. And I had an epiphany last night to see about taking these little spools here, okay, cutting the plastic off of it, dipping it in my stuff, and making another unit that looks like this, okay, something similar, okay. And when I do that, now I've got that whole spool. Each time that wraps around itself, that's a field interaction, okay. So if I'm just going to take and add, you know, 50 feet or 100 feet to this, why not use just the spool? Okay, just like any other coil, except for now it's going to be insulated, so it becomes like a little Tesla coil without the tower. Okay, once it's individually coated, okay, it interacts with itself. I mean, there's just a lot of options here. Maybe we don't even need to make these fancy designs, you know, that I'm showing here. Maybe we don't need that, you know. But utilizing the spool as in place of this, you already have a start and a finish. You know, the wire that comes out is your finish, okay? And the end of the wire that's on, you know, on the back side of this, that's your source end. So if you were to wrap those ends around it and, you know, it looks similar to something like this, okay? Except obviously there's a whole lot more turns, okay? So it would be wrapped around basically like this on the inside of it, okay? Then you have a positive and a negative, and in and out, and it's already nano coated. So I don't see why it wouldn't work as well as this, okay? This is just more organized and more precise, okay, in what you're wanting. But for those that are less interested in the actual creation of the plasma and are more interested in their energy savings right now, I think this will be an option. Currently, I don't have the funds to continue to pay $4 or $5 for each one of these little rolls. So I'm still bound by time with Amazon. If you guys would like to help and support, if you can, you know, make a donation to PayPal at mjnguardian@gmail.com, and you know, you can specify in there, hey, I want to buy you, you know, a couple of rolls of you know, copper wire because I enjoy your work, that kind of thing. You know, the bigger spools of wire that I use are, you know, like this. There's about 200 feet that I get, that's 20 gauge or 22 gauge, whatnot, and they're about $23, $25 a piece, and I get 200 feet. So, you know, that's the most cost-effective way for me to get these, unless somebody comes up with a big spool of it, then I would love it. But I suggest 18, 20, and 22 gauge wires to work with, and you know, get yourself a couple of the bigger gauges so that you can mess around with it and practice. At 8 gauge, I've got, you know, like maybe 10 feet of this 6 or 4 gauge. I don't know. It's really large wire. You know, and that allows you to do different things. Like you can see in here where I've got 8 gauge with the 20 or the 18 gauge, and I just use the 8 gauge as the frame. Okay, one side of this 8 gauge is positive, okay, and you can see that it's glued there, and then the other side would be negative. Okay, so the whole side here, okay, if you're looking at it straight on, this side is you know, a positive or the in, and this side would be the out, so that there is no question of where to glue it. and the way I've got it situated, it happens to be on opposite corners of itself. Okay, and I just used hot glue and I attached it. There's, you know, I didn't need to slather all the hot glue on here to hold it in place. You know, I can take the top off of here if I want to, but it's kind of the design. All right. You know, you guys can make very specific donations. You know, if you would like to see a certain type of experiment, then you guys can say, hey, you know, here, I'm going to give you $100 to show me how to do this thing, but I need these kind of materials and I don't have access to them. Okay, I have access to that kind of stuff, and it's a lot easier for me to come up with a lot of these things and do the experiments. Okay, but at the same time, I don't have some equipment that you guys might have. Okay, and that's kind of the point here of the Infinity Solutions, is to gather people who have different means of taking care of their experiments. Okay, you know, like some people have a steam egg cooker, and you know, I don't have one of those. You know, you might have what do they call them? The little machines that, you know, look like heart monitors and things like that. Okay, and let's see. It says, have you tried any experiments with an old Tesla violet ray device? I don't have any. I don't even know what the Tesla violet ray device is. Okay, I'm very familiar with Tesla's work, but not necessarily every experiment. Tesla visits me during my meditations when I have questions, and you know, he's the one that showed me the neutrino. He showed me the blue white plasma, the mother plasma of all things. You know, so I have a very big connection to Tesla myself. But no, I don't know of the violet ray device. I don't use any of them. The only thing that I use as part of my experimenting is this is the central core to you know, one of those plasma balls. Okay, I broke it. I broke the outer glass on it, and I created. I put these little things on here to harness the energy of it. Okay, and you can see how this one started attracting the copper oxide energy. Okay, but you see it's only on one coil that's in the center, and then the other side is still black. Okay, and that's how you tell the gravitational, okay, the one that's attracting, and the magnetical. All right, but it was harnessing or capturing a lot of the energy that was being created by this. I took this on the outside, okay, and all I did was make a Trinity wire, okay, and made it into a coil. Mother Nature is saying hi. Okay, that's all I did. This was not nano coated. It was just plain copper. There is no metal connection here, okay, on any of this. And you know, it doesn't light up or anything like that until you ground it out. All right, and I use this right here. It creates an arc, okay, and I know since there's no metal connection here, that this connection, that arc, is purely plasmatic. Okay, it's picking up the induction field that's given off by this. Okay, it's transferring it to this copper wire, okay, where it's all harnessed. Okay, and then it's transferred out the end, and it comes out as that little blue or purple spark, sometimes yellow, the arc. Okay, so that's what I use for this. I'm going to continue to experiment with this little piece, and use it because I know that it's 12 volts. Okay. I also know that it's 500 milliamps. Okay, because that's what it's rated for, and that tells me that you know, I have a starting place and a point to utilize this energy. Because every other device that I have that measures electricity around here is all screwed up. And Mother Nature is saying hello again. This is round 8, I think, since yeah, this is round 8 for all of this rain today. Gosh, we've had probably about I don't know, about 6 inches of rain in the last 3 days, maybe more some locations, but here at my house, we are really soggy. So, all right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and stop recording now, okay, so that we can show and utilize this as in how to make the plug. And if you guys can also stop your recording so that it can render.